Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to tonight's final bonus upload of Sunday. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you all know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's bonus to end this night with, shall we? All right, guys, I actually meant to say night-ending bonus, but I got tongue-tied there. So earlier today, I shared a group of boys, teenage boys, that were fishing out in an area called Bumpus Mills, which is in the surrounding area surrounding L.B.L. L.B.L. is a very large tract of land, and a lot of the communities around there have had issues with Dogman, even though they're not part of the L.B.L. The encounter that I mentioned during that experience, I'm going to share right now with you guys, re-upload, and because I want you guys to be familiar with the area. You guys heard today's fisher, teenage fishing one, and now this is where it all started. Let's get into it. So, I am today going to share with you a subscriber experience, a very terrifying experience that I actually had done the interview with this subscriber right before my computer crashed, and we had spent a good 2 hours talking. I was really excited about the encounter or the interview because it's very terrifying. So I contacted her and I explained what happened. She is super busy. She's starting her own business as of right now. She's in the process, first year, and does not have any spare time to come back on in the near future, within the next week or two, she said. So she said, why don't you just share the experience, and when I come back on, I'll fill in any gaps if there are any. And I said, that sounds really good. Thank you. Now, the experience takes place in a small, unincorporated community just right on the border, or right on the edge of the L.B.L. Like, right there. So, Dogman travel to Bumpus Mills, Tennessee, to the L.B.L. is not unheard of. Now, before we get into that experience, there's something that I'd like to share with you all. I have to address this, and the reason why I want to address it is because I'm hoping the right people hear it and they do something about it. If they don't, then I definitely know what I and my YouTube creator advisor talked about last night may have some sort of truth to it. So, first of all, there are channels out there that are in this field that are smaller, and they whine about being blacklisted. Okay? They've got like less than 30,000 subscribers and less than 5 million views. That really isn't going to bring any attention to anyone, first of all. I have almost 18 million views. And I was talking to my YouTube creator. He's kind of like an advocate, tries to help me grow the channel. And he's been watching my views, my time, everything. And he's baffled because my channel has pretty much stayed the same for about a year now. It has a very slow but steady growth, but it should be growing much quicker than it is, especially with the amount of views I'm pumping out. I have 45,500 subscribers, and I'm hitting about 7 to 8 million. I gained 20,000 subs last year, and I hit 8 million views last year for 2022. That's unheard of, the growth comparison. It's very crazy, he said. He said, I don't know. I've not really... He's a younger guy. He's not been with YouTube for more than a couple years. He has seen other channels blossom, especially with the amount of views I have. He compared my channel. There's a... he has another client that he deals with who has like a weightlifting channel that has 163,000 subscribers. They have 11 million views. I have almost 18 and only 45,500. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to let the people know that I know what's going on, and to please just let the channel grow. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue. If you want me to stop, then you're going to have to physically stop me or legally stop me. I'm doing nothing legally wrong, so you can't. So, I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. Hopefully the people who are doing this, the shadow people that are lurking, and I'm not saying YouTube, I'm saying the people behind the curtains. Once again, I'm not being like them other smaller channels that whine about it, that it doesn't have anything to do. Like, you cannot, and I said this to the guy, I was like, well, maybe I should bring it up. And, I said, I don't want to look like I'm whining about it. And his name's Aaron, and he said, you should have at least 125,000 subscribers. The amount of views you pump out, the timing of all your views, everything, the amount of hours watched is incredible compared to your sub count. So that's the last you're ever going to hear of it. I just wanted to let the people behind the curtains know that I know. And once again, I apologize. This is not me whining like the other smaller channels do. Boo-hoo. I've got less than 5 million views, and I've got less than 30,000 subs, and I think I'm blacklisted. Well, you're not. You're not shadow banned. I think I am. Hopefully not. But like I said, now let's get into it. All right, so my subscriber who reached out to me just the other day, past weekend, we had a 2-hour conversation. She lives in this very small, unincorporated town called Bumpus Mills, a very small rural community. Her brother-in-law, her husband had passed away. Her brother-in-law and sister live behind her. Her brother-in-law is a gunsmith, and he has a small gun store behind them. She lives in front of them on a small rural road. Now, Bumpus Mills is she said it's about a half an hour to the L.B.L. She has gone hiking there. They've gone fishing. You know, it's right there. So with the weather change that we've been having, it was a really nice night out. About 2 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, I'm just going based what she told me. So 3 weeks ago, the weather was kind of nicer than normal, and which we all know it has been. And she is outside with her 2 Rottweilers. She has a beautiful backyard. There's deep woods behind her, and there's a road that runs aside of these woods that goes to her sister's house and her brother-in-law's house. So she's out there enjoying the weather. She said she was actually having a glass of wine. She was trying to work out numbers. She was on her laptop working. She has had 2 beautiful Rottweilers, 2 males that were 4 years old. Now, she had heard some noises out in the woods behind her home, and these woods are pretty deep. Not excessively deep like deep Appalachian woods, but this is deep. It's probably 5 o'clock. She grabs the dogs, they bring them in, she feeds them, and she didn't bring the dogs in because of the noise. The noise kind of reminded her of, hey, what time is it? Because she was going over her numbers on her laptop. She kind of lost track of time. She wanted to get something to eat. It was time to feed the dogs because she has the dogs on a regiment. You know, they eat twice a day. This is very important to her. She really loved these dogs. She got them right after her husband had passed away. So she goes in and has dinner. The dogs eat, and it's still about, she said, roughly 55 degrees outside still. So she put on a sweater and went out back again. Probably an hour and a half later, it's just starting to get dark now, where she can't see past her fence line. She has a chain link. She sits down, and the dogs are out. They're romping around, playing. All of a sudden, she hears the back chain link kind of jiggle. But it was very aggressive and very hard. Like, it was just a very rapid pull on the fence. The dogs hear it instantly. Bam, they turn around and start this really deep growl. She's heard her dogs growl before and bark before. They're Rotties. That's what they do. They're very vocal. She's not sure what she at first thought maybe her brother-in-law was playing a joke on her. Came up through the trails behind her house, from their house, and she ended up looking out there, couldn't see anything. She stands up to get a better view. She yells out her brother-in-law's name. The dogs have now gone into full-on protect the house mode. She hears her dogs growling very deep because they're big dogs. They're not a small dog. They were not small. They were about 130 pounds each. Just muscular, strong dogs. She took care of these dogs. They were like her child. She walked them all the time. They had a balanced diet. Like I said, these dogs were very important to her. Through the growl, she hears this deeper growl, and it was longer than her dogs. As that happens, one of her dogs makes a kind of whine and circles, kind of walks back towards the deck, and he's about 20 feet from the deck. The other one's still about 50 feet from the deck. The yard is probably from her back door to the fence line is anywhere between 100 to 120 feet. So there's some distance between the two Rotties now. She's looking. She calls out to her brother-in-law again. Nothing. But this very deep growl happens again. The other dog, who is 50 feet away from her at this point, takes off in a just full-on sprint. The second that dog does, the second dog goes, just barreling down the yard. She hears whatever is behind this fence crash over the fence. She said it sounded like it had just pushed the fence down and was in her yard at that point. And she hears her dogs just savagely growling, barking, and gnashing. She goes into she opens her back door, goes into her kitchen, grabs her cell phone, which is on her kitchen table, and she has a pistol. She said, everyone I know has a pistol. And because we were talking about pistol permits in New York and how crazy New York State is now, and she grabs her pistol. She calls her brother-in-law. She's got her sidearm out. She has it's a .380. And at that point, she knows that she carries it for protection against a human, not anything else. She's a good shot, she said. She is on the phone with her brother-in-law, or her sister actually answered first, and she said, what's his name? I'm not going to use his name. In my backyard. Are you guys messing with me? Because the boys are now back there growling at something. She said, no, here's my husband, your brother-in-law. And she then hears, he answers her, he starts talking, and she says, there's something in the backyard. He's on the phone with her. They're talking. He can hear what's going on. Very not crystal clear, but he can hear the fight, the attack. All of a sudden, she hears this whine cry, and she sees one of her 130-pound Rottweilers get thrown through the air back towards where she is. And it lands probably 30 feet from her. So whatever this thing was had thrown her dog. The dog's trying to get up. It's having a hard time. She can't see if there's blood. She's got her floodlight on, but it's still dark. She hears the other one still fighting. And then she hears another whine. Nothing. She then can hear whatever is back there. Kind of, she hears this wet gnashing sound, she said. The other Rottweiler manages to get up and gets back to where he was. And she said she saw him kind of trying to run back out there for his brother. And he falls because he's been attacked. He's not. She sees this arm come out of the darkness and grab the other dog and pull it out of the lighted area of the yard to where her other dog and this creature is. And she hears this terrible whine. She said she'll never forget it for the rest of her life. She started crying at that point. The majority of the conversation, we had to stop talking a few times because she was crying. So when I do interview her, she will be very emotional. She, at that point, says, "You're not out there," and to her brother-in-law, and she blindly shoots. She said, "I know that what I did was irresponsible as a gun owner, but I was scared. I was upset. Emotions had gotten the better of me." The brother-in-law hears the shots, hangs up the phone, and gets his firearm. He actually ended up grabbing his shotgun, and he has a 10mm pistol on him, and drives up. They're maybe 400, a football field away. Not very far, but there's woods separating them. He gets to her side yard from the road and drives off the road into her side yard and puts his high beams on the truck, shining into the backyard. When he did that, she was able to see what was back there. They both were able to see what was back there. What she saw was one of her dogs was on the ground, and this creature, a Dogman, was standing on it. It had its one back leg onto the dog. The dog was not moving. The dog was dead at that time. The other one was in the air with this Dogman, I guess, eating it, biting it, but she said it looked like it was eating my dog. She stopped right there again. This was one of the hardest interviews I've ever had to do. The brother-in-law gets out of his truck and goes to the fence. Now, he's in the side yard, so he's looking at her. He's kind of almost even with her. She's on her deck. He's on the other side of the fence. This creature is on the inside of the fence in the back. and he proceeds to empty his shotgun into this monster. She said, I know it hit it at least 3 times. This creature was at least 8.5 feet tall. She has a bird feeder or a bird house out in the back on the opposite side of her fence. And it is 10-foot tall pole with a bird feeder house on top. So when she has to feed it, she has a ladder that she has on the other side of the fence where she opens the ladder and feeds. She used that as an estimate of the height of this creature. She then sees this. They both see it. It's a monster of a creature. It's like it's not black, but it is that it has more gray to it. It's a silverish gray and black color. The predominant color in its hair is a silverish gray with black. It has these burning, she said they were burning hellfired eyes. It was at the point where he shot it, her dog, the creature had dropped the other dog. The third shot had hit this creature and it dropped to all fours. She said it looked like this thing was going to charge me or my brother-in-law. He drops his shotgun, yells to her, "Get inside your house and lock the door. Call the police. Call 911. She shuts her slider and stares outside the slider. He unloads this 10 millimeter into this thing. It stands up and crosses across her backyard the opposite way of where he is, and kind of cuts into the woods. Now, this is Stewart County, Tennessee. So roughly 35 minutes later, a sheriff comes, Stewart County Sheriff. He is on his way to her house. The way the creature ran would have probably put it, she said, it must have gone past my sister and brother-in-law's house through those woods and went out into a road called Wall Hollow Road. As this sheriff was coming to her home, this creature ran in front of him. He stopped, looked at the creature as it ran into another set of woods, into a field, and continued to haul ass away from the area. He drives to her house. He's thinking this is a bear because of how large it was. It was on all fours, and it was so quick when it went by. So the sheriff ends up getting to the house. He knows everybody anyway. He knows the brother-in-law. At this point, the sister is now there, trying to console her because of her dogs just being savagely killed in front of her. The sheriff goes in the backyard. He gets kind of a feel of everything from her, the brother-in-law. The sheriff and the brother-in-law go to the backyard to look at the damage that was done to see if the fence was broken, to cover the dogs, to, just take care of the situation. One of the dogs' carcasses wasn't there. When that creature dropped on all fours, it apparently had grabbed the one that it was standing on and ran with it. When they were looking for the dog, the other dog, the brother-in-law said, "Where's the other Roddy? Where's the dog?" The sheriff said, "I just saw a bear, and it appeared to be carrying a cub, and it ran across the street from me about 60 feet in front of me. I didn't get a great look, but I saw it booking through. Do you think that's what caused this?" The brother-in-law went inside, explained the situation. She's then just a mess. About an hour later, there are 4 more sheriff deputies in her yard looking through these woods. They combed the woods. They went on these back roads, looking for the creature. The sheriff that initially shows up, and he then decides, hey, I'm going to go check and see if I can see where, this thing ran through. He goes down the back way off of, he kind of loops around and kind of follows the way he went to her house. And then goes down Wall Hollow onto a farm road. This farm road is off of a interstate, or not an interstate, county road 120. He drives down the dirt farm road, and as he's coming into the road, one of the farmers kind of sees the car and comes out and says, "Hey, what's all the ordeal? What are you down here for? Yada yada." And he said, "Hey, we just saw this bear. A bear just attacked what's her name's dogs." And he said, "I didn't see no bear around here. There's, He proceeds to say, "All right, if you see anything," and goes down this dirt road a little more. And at the end of the dirt road is a farm field. There's a farmhouse, another farmhouse, and a field. It's almost like a kind of a turn off, and to get out of there and back to the main county road. As he's turning, he looks out and he sees this air quotes bear standing up with the carcass of this woman's dog. He gets out of his vehicle, takes his long rifle out of his car, and gets behind his car and takes a couple of shots. He believes that it hit the dog, or hit the dog man, because it made a very strange noise, and it took off running back the way it came. It had still this dog in its grips. The sheriff then proceeds to go back the way he came, and as he's coming up onto Wall Hollow Road again to turn to her road, or turn to the road that leads to her house. It goes right by his or her brother-in-law's house. There's the carcass of the dog. And he gets out, stops, radios for another deputy to come. The other deputy takes a different route instead of going down the road that connects from her house, the road that the brother-in-law had to travel up. Instead of going that way, he went around onto 120. He went down this small road onto 120 and then up to Wall Hollow, because he had no idea. He just said, I'm on Wall Hollow. So the sheriff's like, all right, I'll go this way. As he's getting out, he sees the air quotes bear now running bipedally towards L.B.L. and doesn't stop. He just keeps going to get to where the other deputy was. The dog that was left in the yard had huge claw marks on its flanks, on its back of its neck, head. The dog that the sheriff recovered was missing its back half. It was missing both its back legs and a large portion of its midsection, the soft innards where that would be. She hasn't seen it since. She doesn't want to see it since. She buried her dogs, and she, like I said, she just is starting her business. Now, all she can focus on is her loss. These dogs were meant to help her cope with the loss of her husband. They were 4 years old. They were her babies. They didn't sleep on her bed. One would sleep on one side of the bed and one would sleep on the other side. They protected her and loved her. She loved them. The fence in the back was pushed down. So when the creature came over the fence, it pushed down on the fence. The fence was about a 5-foot chain link. At that one section where it pushed, the fence probably, she said, was about 3 feet tall, like a dip. She said she's got to wait until probably mid-spring, summer to fix the fence because, she's just doesn't have the funds to fix it and really can't deal with much more. They buried their dogs, or she buried her dogs. Her brother-in-law and sister she still owns her home. She's not going to sell her home, but she's living now around the corner with her sister and brother-in-law at their home, which their home has his gunsmith and gun store. This is a very tragic case, very terrifying event. I'm not doing it justice because I'm not her. But these deputies saw it. I said, well, what did the deputies say? And they kept referring to it as a bear. Actually, in the report, it was stated that it was a bear attack. They were very polite and did their job, by the book. But there was no consoling after the fact that they labeled it as a bear attack. There was nothing more. Like I said, she's not in her home. She's at her sister's house, which is right around the corner. She said it's going to be a long while before I can be home alone again. So that is the gist of the interview that got deleted off my computer when my computer crashed. Hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I can have her on. She's willing to come back, but she just needs time because she's trying to she was coping with all of this tragedy and attack experience that did not make any sense to her. Her brain cannot really, she's actually heard of Dogman before. She knows people that live close by to the L.B.L. and, it's not something talked about openly in public, but it is when you know people, Hopefully she can come on and fill in any blanks. But once again, I know that when she does, it's going to be a very hard interview to have her do. Anyway, that is the experience that was deleted when my computer crashed. A terrifying event, a sad event. And, so with that, I wanted to ask her, I actually did ask her, what do you think, the sheriffs that a few of the deputies, that her brother-in-law she's mid-40s. Her sister is about 10 years younger than her, and the brother-in-law is roughly the same. So a few of the deputies, they all know each other, but a few of the deputies grew up with the brother-in-law, 2 of them actually, and they won't even return, the 2 deputies off duty won't even return the brother-in-law's phone calls. So to me, that says that there is stuff that's going on there. And, so please be careful, because you don't know if that thing's going to come back looking for vengeance. All right, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this night ending bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I really do appreciate all of your support and kindness. You guys are what makes this channel what it is. And when I say it's special, it is a special place for people to share without ridicule, without judgment. You guys are, in the comment section, have created an area where people can share, people can talk without ridicule, without any kind of judgment. And it is great. It really is. Appreciative. You're the reason why the channel continues to grow and go. And I cannot thank you for the support that you guys give me. I cannot thank you enough. Guys, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and they are dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.